What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rovardo, joined by no co-host, going solo here, late night edition of Fireside Giants. And I want to talk about two players in particular. First and foremost, Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Cam Scataboo. I know you guys love the Scataboos. Like I said, late night edition, so no loud Scataboo in this one. But going to be talking about this Arizona State rookie running back that the Giants drafted in the fourth round, who you guys know we here at Fireside Giants are really high on. We're really excited about him, same way we were last year about Tyrone Tracy Jr. And the big question that I'm going to be trying to answer in this episode, could the New York Giants have 2,000-yard running backs in 2025? Now, that's a pretty rare feat for a duo to accomplish, of course. In fact, it's even rarer if you're looking at 1,000-yard rushers, which I'm going to get that out of the way. I don't think the Giants are going to have 2,000-yard rushers, but 2,000-yard players, all-purpose yards, I think it's absolutely doable for this duo that the New York Giants have here. So we're going to go ahead and dive into some of the stats that make both Tracy and Scataboo pretty special players for the New York Giants and discuss whether or not they both could go for 1,000 all scrimmage yards this season and what it would mean for the New York Giants offense. So on the note about 2,000-yard rushers, I'll just throw this stat out there just to make it clear that I'm not expecting 2,000-yard rushers. There have only been 7 duos in NFL history to go for 1,000 yards in a single season. The most recent being all the way back in 2019 with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram of the Baltimore Ravens. But the New York Giants, cool enough, which is why I'm bringing it up, are one of the 7 teams to have one of these duos. And that came in 2008 with Derek Ward and Brandon Jacobs, both topping 1,000 yards in a season that should have ended in a much deeper postseason run. But of course, circumstances got in the way, and the New York Giants got bounced a little sooner than expected, even though they were the Super Bowl favorites that year. Very unfortunate as it may be. We move on, and we are now here in 2025. And now we're talking about Tracy and Scataboo. And here's the thing. Tyrone Tracy Jr. feels like a pretty safe bet to go for 1,000 yards from scrimmage this season. He did it last year, in case you didn't realize. In fact, him and Malik Neighbors made history because they are only the 3rd rookie duo in NFL history to achieve the feat of having 1,000 yards from scrimmage each. So you had Tracy going for over 1,000, and you had Malik Neighbors going for over 1,000 receiving yards, of course. And I got to say, man, I don't see a world where Tyrone Tracy doesn't go for another 1,000 all-purpose yards this season. He started only 12 games last year and put up 839 rushing yards. That's about 50 yards per game. And then also added on top of that 16 receiving yards per game and a total of 284. So he finished the season with 1,123 yards from scrimmage and 6 total touchdowns. The 5 fumbles he definitely needs to cut down. Otherwise, he's not going to hit the 1,000 purpose yards because he's going to get benched. However, I'll digress. Tracy, I think he was just a rookie and he had some growing pains. But when you look at the way that he played last year, he touched the ball 192 times on the ground, 230 total touches. So it's about 5 yards per touch. And he went well over 1,000 yards from scrimmage with 1,123. Even if his touches decrease quite substantially, let's say he's closer to that 200 touches at 5 yards per touch is still 1,000 yards from scrimmage. So I think that there is absolutely a world here where Tyrone Tracy easily goes over the 1,000 yards once again. But now it's up to Cam Scataboo to do the same. And there is a wild card in this factor, which would be Devin Singletary. So for context, last year, Devin Singletary had 134 touches compared to the 230 that Tyrone Tracy Jr. had. Singletary was a starter in 5 games for the Giants and appeared in all 15. Meanwhile, as we know, Tracy appeared in all 17, was fully healthy last season, which is fantastic. But when you're looking at that, he averaged 4 yards per touch, so a whole yard or less, and obviously had fewer touches at 134. But let's imagine a world where both Tracy and Scataboo amass somewhere around 200 yards or 200 total touches. If they're both going for about 200 total touches, give or take, they easily could go for 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Now, it would look different for both of them, though. And what I mean by that is 839 rushing yards last year from Tracy and 230 receiving yards. Meanwhile, if you're looking at Cam Scataboo's statistics from last season, which are utterly ridiculous, I will say, he had 338 receiving yards, I'm sorry, 338 total touches, 605 receiving yards on top of his absurd 1,711 rushing yards. But a much higher volume of receptions going his way, 45 total receptions compared to Tyrone Tracy Jr. as a rookie, hauling in only 38 total receptions. So a few more for Cam Scataboo and a lot more big plays generated as a receiver. But essentially, what it boils down to is these two players have skill sets that both complement each other. However, they also overlap in one key area, and that's receiving ability. As we all know, Tyrone Tracy Jr. had only played one season of running back before being drafted by the New York Giants. The 3 seasons prior, he was a wide receiver. He transitioned, he converted to become a running back, and obviously that sparked something, and he is a very good running back for sure. But Cam Scataboo is different, where he is a pure running back, but he is one of the best receiving running backs that's come out of college football in recent years. Cam Scataboo, I've got some great stats on him as well that I'm going to pull up here on his receiving abilities. So as I mentioned, 45 total receptions on 52 targets, which is a really impressive amount. But the real stat that you want to look at if you're diving into the PFF, let's say, with Pro Football Focus, they have this one statistic that's their most stable metric, meaning the most translatable from the collegiate levels up to the pros, and it's called yards per route run. Essentially, how many yards are you generating every play that you're running a route? So obviously, you're not going to get the ball every single play that you run a route, but in total, what's your yardage divided by how many routes you ran throughout the course of the season? And he averaged 1.95 yards per route run last season, which was 7th in the entire collegiate football field. So a very impressive stat. And again, highlighting Cam Scataboo's ability to make plays as a receiver. And really, if you just turn on the tape, watch the film, watch the highlights, however you want to digest this, you are going to see some pretty exquisite route running for a running back. Absolutely. We talk about things that are translatable from the college levels to the pros. Well, Cam Scataboo's ability to run routes, line up in the slot even at times, and make plays as a receiver more than a running back, he's really special in that regard. And so the fact that he has that ability paired with the abilities that Tyrone Tracy Jr. was already bringing to the New York Giants, you have two running backs that really could, if they needed to on any given Sunday, play wide receiver. And so then all this boils down to, can the Giants have 2,000-yard running backs in 2025? It just boils down to consistency in three facets of the game. Number one, the quarterback position needs to be consistent at a high level, hopefully. The offensive line needs to be consistent, and the play calling needs to be consistent. Those are the three things. If the play caller can find a way to get these guys on the field, A, at the same time, and B, in different situations to maximize their strengths and minimize their weaknesses, which is what I always say, there's like no way to me that these guys don't at least come close to 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Now, 1,000 yards from scrimmage might be a little lofty. That's considered a pretty damn good season for a running back, as it was for Tracy last year, and as it would be if Scataboo did it as a rookie. But considering the Giants in a lost season last year where they only won 3 games, found a way to get Tracy over 1,000, over 1,100 all-purpose yards from scrimmage last year. Again, in that lost season, a long 10-game losing streak. He only started 12 total games, still went for 1,100 all-purpose yards. I feel as though they can probably find the same output and outcome for Cam Scataboo. And in fact, I think they can find a way to get both of those guys to have similar output in the same single season. So this is a running back duo that obviously we're all really excited about as Giants fans, but it's one that I just think is so versatile and dynamic, again, because of the receiving ability that both of these players possess. They don't drop the ball too often. At least Tracy didn't during his collegiate career. I know he had a couple of drops last season. That and the fumbles are the two things that he definitely needs to work on and clean up. But Scataboo's got sure hands, and again, we've talked a lot about Scataboo and the punch in the mouth mentality that he brings to the football field, his ability to fight through contact and create yards after contact. I mean, we're talking about a guy that averaged 4 yards after contact per rushing attempt during the 2024 collegiate season, which is truly incredible. He only had 2 drops as a receiver on 52 targets, which again, also just fantastic. This guy went for 1,700 rushing yards last year. 1,200 of those yards came after contact. Frequently, he was hit at the first level from linebackers and defensive linemen, bounced right off them, threw them to the ground, and made a big play out of it. So Scataboo is a guy who I think easily turns out ugly yards on a play-by-play basis, probably gets a lot of first and second down snaps because of that, and obviously some third and fourth and shorts. And so through all of that, just adding up over the course of a season, I think he's going to put up a very respectable total rushing yards, but then add in his ability to make plays as a receiver. And I think we are looking at a player who the Giants drafted in the 4th round that could add 1,000 yards all purpose to their offense. Now, again, we're talking about Tracy going for 1,100 all purpose yards on an offense that was arguably the worst in the NFL, if not the second worst in the NFL. They finished 31st in points per game. They finished 31st in total yards per scrimmage. So you're looking at that and you're saying, is there enough room for both Tracy and Scataboo to go for 1,000 yards? Yeah, because this offense shouldn't be capped out the way that it was last year. This offense should produce, generally speaking, more yardage and more points this year, especially because it's going to be the second year that Dable's calling plays. So hopefully he's a little bit better. There should be some more health, hopefully, on the offensive line. It's really going to be dependent on Andrew Thomas staying healthy. But the quarterback position is going to make a major difference. I mean, how many times have I given the example of Daniel Jones throwing a pass close to the line of scrimmage, but it's a tick late. So now Wan'Dale Robinson, rather than turning upfield and gaining 6 yards, gained only 2 yards. So now instead of it being 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, something like that. So with Russell Wilson in tow, I think the Giants passing game is going to be a lot better. They're going to hit deep shots. They're going to move the ball a bit more efficiently, and they're going to create more opportunities for plays from both Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Cam Scataboo. So I think the Giants' total yardage this season, the output will increase. And as a result, directly, so will the output of Tyrone Tracy Jr. And I think that we will get a lot of big plays from Cam Scataboo in his rookie season. So I'm really excited for this duo to take shape. We all know as Giants fans, historically, this team loves a good running back by committee. And across the NFL, we see a lot of teams put together committee systems and they work out pretty spectacularly. Of course, the Detroit Lions are the prime example, but hey, the Cincinnati Bengals have a committee as well. I would argue that the Chiefs have a good committee. The Houston Texans have a committee. Obviously, these guys, there's lead backs on these football teams, but they still have a pretty good rotation and have depth at the position. Last year, yeah, Devin Singletary had some pretty good games in the early portion of the season, got a little bit banged up, and then they pretty much just let Tyrone Tracy Jr. run with it. This year, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think there's going to be more of a healthy balance, and there's going to be a pretty healthy dosage of both Scataboo and Tracy on the football field this season. So what does that mean for the offense? Well, the Giants might have a legitimate rushing attack. And what does that do for you? It allows you to have a legitimate passing attack, because now let's say that Scataboo is having one of those games where he's ripped a few big runs, he's broken some mean tackles, and all of a sudden, all right, now we're thinking, let's take one of these cornerbacks off the field, let's load the box. And all of a sudden, the Giants are facing a 7-man box. They've got one-on-ones on the outside, and they've got Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson. So they're going to start cooking in that facet of the game now. They're going to shift to a passing attack. So essentially, the whole conversation here, could the Giants have 2,000-yard running backs in 2025? In short, yes. Will it be challenging? Excuse me. Absolutely, it will be challenging for both of them to get to 1,000 yards. But generally speaking, it's totally possible and it could happen. But what does it mean for the Giants offense? It means a lot, because it means everything's going to run more efficiently. You're going to have more loaded boxes, which means more success in the passing game. And once you start gaining success in the passing game, well, what do? You face less loaded boxes and you run it up the middle with a powerful back like Scataboo or really good patient runner like Tyrone Tracy Jr. So this running back duo really is going to open things up for the New York Giants if both Tracy and Scataboo do live up to expectations. And keep in mind, I'm not setting 1,000-yard expectations for them. My expectations are not that high, believe me. I want to see these guys play well, but I'm not setting a 1,000-yard threshold for both of them. I'm just kind of mentioning these pie in the sky kind of ideals for them to strive towards, right? Let's both try and be 1,000-yard players this season. And I think then we're going to get some really good football out of these running backs. But I think this committee is going to work out well for the Giants. I think it's going to keep defenses guessing, keep them on their heels, keep them on their toes, however you like your phraseology. And I think it's going to leave the New York Giants offense in positions where they can move the ball and they can actually put up some points this year. Last year, they obviously struggled to do that, and it was rather embarrassing to watch the New York Giants offense operate last year. But this year, hopefully, with some stability at quarterback, they're able to not only maximize guys like Malik Neighbors and others, but also maximize the running back duo that they formed now with Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Cam Scataboo. So I'm really excited for it. I think this offense is going to be a lot better this year. Listen, guys, even if this offense finishes, let's say, league average, somewhere around 16, 17, even 18, a little bit below average, that is a night and day difference and monumental upgrade over finishing 31st and 32nd. So it's going to be a really, really important year for the Giants, as we all know, but it should be a lot more exciting as well. All this team needs to be as average, and Giants fans are going to be a lot happier, right? Because we're going to see some competency on both sides of the ball, hopefully. The talent's there, man. Russell Wilson, I know he's not what he used to be. He's still talented. He's still a good player. We've got a talented running back duo. We've got a superstar receiver in Neighbors. We've got an all-pro level left tackle in Thomas, the defensive side of the ball. We all know what we have on the defensive line, and we know that we added pieces to the secondary. The talent is there. No more excuses. This New York Giants team does need to just execute this year and win some damn games. And of course, I think this running back duo is going to help a lot in that mission of winning games because I think they're a really talented running back tandem. So that's pretty much going to wrap this one up, though, guys. Make sure you comment down below, leave a big Scataboo in the chat. And, of course, let me know what your expectations are for both of these guys. Do you think it's an overreaction to say that they're both going to go for 1,000 yards? Is it possible? I think it's possible. Probably unlikely. More realistically, maybe one of them goes for 1,000, one of them goes for 800. But even then, you're talking about a significant increase in output from this offense that's going to change the dynamic and put more points on the board and hopefully help the New York Giants win more football games. So again, let me know your thoughts down below. Drop your stat predictions, of course, as well for Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Cam Scataboo, if that's something that you would like to do. Of course, you know we read all the comments, and I'm excited to go through and see what your guys' takeaways are from some of the stats that I shared and what your predictions are for Tracy and Scataboo this upcoming season. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, I will catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.
Perfect.